Mitch. So go ahead and call to order this meeting of the Greenfield Conservation Commission at 6:33 p.m. on September 26th, 2023. As you can see on your screen, all commissioners are currently present. And since this meeting is being held virtually, if any technical interruption occurs and it suddenly ends without notice, we won't be resuming and all items will be automatically continued on the next scheduled meeting date. And as you just heard, this meeting is being recorded. And if anyone else is recording the meeting, you're required to let me know. All right, so first on the agenda is approval of meeting minutes for September 12th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from.
Second.
All right, motion to approve was seconded. Any other discussion on the minutes? Anyone need a second double check?
I'm sorry, I'm still on page 2 of 3.
That's okay.
I think I'm okay.
Yeah, I didn't have any other comments either. All right, so we have a motion to accept the minutes from September 12th, 2023. I'll do a roll call vote on that motion. Erica?
Aye.
Fletcher?
Aye.
Kristen?
Aye.
All right, and I am an aye as well. So that motion passes and the minutes are approved. So on our agenda for scheduled public meetings and hearings, the first one on the list is public hearing notice of intent bank stabilization at the Green River swimming area, map 27 lot 18, DEP file number 168356, which was continued from September 12th, 2023. Mitch, I'm not seeing them here, so I'm assuming they need to continue that again.
Yeah, they're continuing to the 10th.
Okay, that's our next meeting, October 10th.
Yes.
Okay, I hadn't looked. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and motion to continue that public hearing to October 10th.
Second.
All right. And we'll do a roll call vote on that to continue that hearing. Erica?
Aye.
Fletcher?
Aye.
Kristen?
Abstain.
And I'm an aye. So, all right, that meeting or that notice of intent public hearing will be continued at our next meeting, October 10th. All right, moving right along. We have a public meeting request for determination of applicability, resurfacing of Cheapside Street and Montague City Road. And I'll just read the project description on our agenda here. This project scope of work includes resurfacing deteriorating pavement on Cheapside Street and Montague City Road with sidewalk and pedestrian improvements. This project will include adjusting and or rebuilding drainage structures where necessary to adequately accommodate stormwater. There are 3 deteriorating outfalls that will be replaced within the existing drainage easement. 8 catch basins and 6 drainage manholes will be installed in the roadway within the 200-foot riverfront area. 1 44 linear foot long span of 15-inch diameter pipe will be upsized to 18-inch diameter pipe. And do we have someone here who wants to introduce
Yes,
that
hi.
project? Hi.
Hi, Travis. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all again. For those of you who didn't virtually meet me back in July or August when I was here for that emergency cert, I'm Billy. I'm the District Environmental Engineer for District 2 for MassDOT. So yeah, as Travis just read out the project description, we have a resurfacing project with some related work on Cheapside Street and Montague City Road. I'm also joined by my colleague Yi Chao Shu, who was the designer on that project. So in case anybody has any really specific design questions, feel free to either ask me or Yi Chao can step in and answer some of those as well. Travis, do you want me to share my screen and just kind of run through a little bit? Okay, great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm just going to ask you all to bear with me because I'm operating from my home office on my laptop and I am used to having 3 screens and a nice mouse. Okay, let me just move this over. All right, so I'm not going to go over the project description too much, but I did just kind of want to highlight some of the wetlands protection exemptions. Is that a good Zoom level for everybody?
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
great.
so.
I know we're all working with different setups. So the main thing here is that we're redeveloping a previously developed area. So these are, this is a resurfacing project. There are going to be improvements to bike and ped accommodations. So that should be good for the area. And then there are also going to be some improvements to the drainage system, as Travis was kind of reading out in that project description. There is the addition of some drainage structures, such as catch basins. There is a Mass DOT design standard that requires 2 catch basins on minor arterial roads, which this is classified as. In some of those areas, let me just get down to my plans. In some of these areas, for example, this spot right here on Cheapside Street, in this area, you can see we've proposed 4 catch basins. Right now, there's 1 catch basin in this area, and there's some serious erosion going on. It's even started to deteriorate the asphalt in the roadway, and one of the guardrail posts is completely exposed down there. So that's a result of, floodwaters in the roadway kind of overtopping rather than going through that drainage system the way that it should be designed. So adding those catch basins in there is going to not only meet the Mass DOT standards, which are, developed in conjunction with federal highway standards, but it should improve the flooding in the roadway during any major storm events. So in this plan set in the RDA, I included the cover sheet just so you guys can see the locus map. And then I included just the sections of the utility and drainage plan that has these additional structures. And we're also planning on making improvements to these head walls and outfalls. So a lot of those outfalls either have, erosion that's happening or the head walls are starting to deteriorate. So for those outfall improvements, we're going to be putting down geotextile fabric, then some crushed stone, and then some riprap that's like about basketball size. So over time, that should really improve, the erosion that's happening in that area. So there are 3 of those drainage outfalls. You can kind of see the little cutouts for them. Those are going to require a temporary easement. But again, it's temporary. That's just so that we can get in there and make those repairs because there's significant erosion happening at those outfalls. And as you can see here, this dotted line is the bank mean annual high water line. And these areas are within the 200-foot bank buffer / 200-foot riverfront area. So that's on this page as well. And then I did just want to note another resource area on this project is land subject to flooding, which is right in this corner where, Cheapside Street comes under the railroad in that area. Elevation is going to be maintained, so no issues there, but I just wanted to mention that was another resource area in the project that we were aware of and taking into account in our design considerations. And then this is the third plan sheet that also has some drainage structures on there as well. So I believe Travis shared the final count of what those were, which is let's see, 8 catch basins, 6 drainage manholes, and then, there's just 1 section of pipe that was previously 15 inches in diameter and is just being upsized to 18 inches in diameter. That upsizing is a result of the hydraulic calculations, just showing the amount of water that's there. So 18 inches would be the proper size. We just need to upsize it because we're adding more drainage structures. But again, that's, developing previously developed riverfront area. So that is my quick spiel on it. But if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to kind of address those.
Does anyone have any?
And
Go
I can
ahead.
just kind of zoom into some of these plans.
Yeah, is this a limited project?
What do you mean by limited project?
Is it being a ecological restoration limited project? Is it being
No,
filed?
no, this is just a regular, yeah, RDA, sorry.
Okay, maybe I'm in the wrong one. Yeah, I'm in the wrong one. My apologies.
No worries.
Would you mind just addressing the exemptions again?
Absolutely.
It was kind of cut off before. I think I saw the riverfront area ones, but there was something above it that I couldn't catch.
Yeah, so this up here is 10 2B2, which is kind of discussing, some activities that are exempt, and that's typically the exemption for like resurfacing, milling and resurfacing. So we put that in there because this is a resurfacing project. And then in terms of the redevelopment within previously developed riverfront areas, that's more for these like drainage structures and that kind of thing happening within the roadway.
Okay, so it's within the existing right of way.
Mhm.
Thank you.
The only thing that's outside are those drainage outfalls, which will require temporary easements. But again, I don't know if any of you have been out there recently, but that like the situation out there with the erosion is definitely calling for that work to be done.
But it's exempt.
So the drainage outfalls will require a temporary easement. So it's outside of the state highway layout area, but that area is developing previously developed riverfront area because there are already drainage outfalls there.
I guess to me that sounds like that was the one thing I was
Mhm.
thinking if it wasn't for the outfalls, it sounds like the entire thing would just be exempt, but I guess it seems to me that the outfalls, like all of these exemptions talk about being within the existing roadway.
Yep.
And since that's outside the existing roadway, and within are could you show those on the map again? Are
Yeah, absolutely.
those were within, or at
Um,
least two of them were within riverfront area, right? Or
Yes,
maybe all
all three
three.
of them are within riverfront area. So here's the first one. So as you can see, our state highway layout ends about here.
Yeah.
And so it would require this temporary drainage easement in order to do that work. And again, these aren't new outfalls. These are existing outfalls. Head walls are deteriorating. They don't have a splash pad, so they're creating an erosion channel down into the river. And we would be replacing them where they exist now.
Is that riverfront area already developed where you're going outside the right of way? Or is it
Yes,
lawn?
yeah, so where the drainage easement is right here shown, there is an outfall right there. So we're replacing the drainage outfalls. Yeah,
So it's concrete, it's not grass.
no.
And you said the footprint isn't really increasing for any of these?
No, the footprint is not increasing. This is just a temporary easement that is, required to be able to get in there and do the work around the head wall. But it's an existing head wall that's there, or drainage outfall with a head wall that's there, and they're going to go in and repair the head walls if they need to, and then put in a not concrete splash pad. It's going to be geotextile fabric, crushed stone, and then riprap about basketball size on top of that to prevent further erosion in that area. Because right now, the head walls are just kind of discharging. There's not anything there's not a concrete splash pad. There's not riprap there to kind of prevent the erosion that's occurring in that area right now.
I'm assuming a basketball sized riprap stone is like 10 to 12 inches diameter.
I think maybe a little bit smaller than that.
Billy, can I chime in a little bit?
Yes, please,
Uh,
Yichao, chime in.
I'm Yichao from SDOT district to the designer of this project. So the rip actually is not big like a riprap rock. The big actually the riprap rock is much bigger than this specific stone for pipe ends. This stone, based on Mass DOT's standard specification, is must be between 50 to 150 pounds. So the regular size about like a basketball size. And you can see, Billy, can you just zoom in a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
For the concrete wall, you can see you cannot see my cursor, but you can see this concrete wall in gray words. That's
Yeah,
the
right here.
existing ones. And we have later says remove a concrete wall and a proposed head wall. Number 2 means we're gonna remove the old wall and build the new wall there. And another leader shows the stone for pipe ends, which is a big stone between the weight between 50 to 150 pounds over the crushed stones. Now, crushed stones is about 3/4 inch stones over the geotextile fabric. Can just mitigate the erosion happens. The reason why we put smaller stones on the geotextile fabric between the bigger stones, which just in case the bigger stones are too heavy, gonna go just to penetrate the geotextile fabric.
So it's more like boulders and then your angular riprap and then the geotextile fabric. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for explaining that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Any other questions?
So I want to add in something else with the existing easement. We do have Billy, can you just move the plan a little bit up? You can see the purple one, the purple leader down there. Move move down a little bit. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Right there.
Yeah, existing state drainage easement, but this is the older plan. It says a book and a page number not available, not applicable. But I did thorough study in the Franklin registry of deed. I did find the book number and the page number back to 1951. I updated in our right-of-way plans, but we definitely have this easement for belong to Mass DOT. So this is our permanent drainage easement.
The purple dash line or where the leader is pointing to, which is kind of, I can't
Yes.
tell if it's gray or purple. This is like on the south side.
I think it's a purple one.
Yeah,
It's a
purple right
pretty
here.
thing. It's a pretty thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize that. Is that the case for every single one of the head walls, Ichao, or?
I think for this one, the second one and the third
Okay.
one. The first one
So yeah, this
we
is
have
the first one.
yeah we require the permanent drainage easement because the current head wall is within our state highway layout lines.
Okay.
But
So that's
we're gonna extend all the stones and fabric, geotextile fabric, which is gonna be beyond our state highway layout line. That's why we
Right.
need to require the permanent easement to do the proposed work. So if
Okay.
you go to the first sheet, the sheet 9.
Yep. This one.
Oh, you
Oh
you
yeah,
don't-
no, I only have the
Okay.
highlights from the utility
All
plans. I
right,
didn't put
okay.
like the whole key in there and everything. Yeah.
Whatever that area is the first head wall is not a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I actually misspoke. So this purple line in here, you can see existing state drain easement. So Ichao, correct me if I'm wrong, it's technically outside of the state highway layout, but we do have the drainage easement there.
Yeah, we do have
Okay, yeah.
we have the book and the page numbers,
Okay, great.
which we required in 1951 back to this chip size street originally built.
Mhm.
And you guys have a annual operation and maintenance plan approved for, like, you've got your BMPs already kind of approved for any work that you do, right? Okay.
Mhm.
So any questions we might have on erosion and sedimentation control are probably in that OMP.
Yes, and yeah, we have Mass DOT standard specifications for all of our construction projects that require erosion and sediment controls. Yep.
I guess I'm mostly wondering if you're gonna have sediment bags and catch basins, if you're gonna be doing any kind of earth disturbance around them.
Yeah, so that kind of, in terms of exactly what erosion and sediment control is used, kind of dips into the means and methods of the contractor, but it is a requirement for them to use erosion and sediment controls, but we're not going to, be specifying exactly how they should be doing it.
So I do propose all these sediment control barrier against the back, the bottom or top of slope. You can see.
Yeah, that's what this rectangular pattern is, right? Yeah.
Right. And for all the existing and the proposed catch basins, I also proposed ask the contractor to put a silt sack to prevent all the silt or fine particles go into the river systems.
Can you tell me when the work is planned for and what ideally and what the time frame would be, how long it would take?
Yes. Ichao, do you know the ad date off the top of your head?
The ad date is January 2025. I'm expecting the contract gonna start work probably the summer, maybe early spring of 2025. Our estimation for this whole project is gonna be 1 year. I believe the contract gonna start. They're gonna set up all the silt fence and the sediment control barrier first. Then they're gonna start the drainage work. Because this is a basically resurfacing project, we are not just do all just milled out all the HMA pavement. So they're gonna do the drainage work first because they have dig holes everywhere to drop in the proposed drainage structures. After doing that, they're gonna do the milling and the repaving together with all the other like a sidewalk construction and the proposed guardrail installation.
And so that's like a very steep slope to the south there, and well, all the work, like the machinery would be located more or less on the road or right on the side of the road. Is that the plan?
Yes.
And how about the storage? Like where would the machinery be located when it's not work isn't actively being done?
I think
there's
this
already a
is a
plan.
contractor's duty to find a right place to store, to staging their mobilization of their equipment. It must be within our state highway layouts, or maybe within our proposed temporary easement. We cannot, as a designer, we cannot tell them you have to put their, you have to store all the raw material, all your equipment somewhere. We cannot do that. Maybe they will find somewhere close to our project, find a staging area.
Okay, I mean, given that there's no real footprints expanding and it looks like there's some serious stabilization work needed and they're increasing potential for handling flow and stuff. I don't know. I don't think I personally have any more questions, but yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to go through the I'm just trying to go through the logic of the exemptions
Mhm.
in the Wetlands Protection Act. Because I think that's where you know, you have to read this and refer to that and refer to this.
Yeah, do you want me to kind of go back to
Sure.
exemptions I included here? The first page is 10B 2B2, which is just the pavement portion, but
Mhm.
these bottom two are kind of about riverfront area.
And then for BLSF, just to reiterate, you're not doing any subsurface like flood storage capacity
Nope.
alteration. Okay.
Yeah. The elevations of the roadway and sidewalk are going to be maintained in that area. And it's also like a very small portion, but yes, they are going to be maintained in that area.
So I guess 2B1, 2. I guess I'm not sure. I guess I'm kind of getting hung up on the pavement part too, because uh in um in the exemptions, what am I looking at here? When I'm looking at the Wetlands Protection Act, I'm looking under redevelopment, number 6, 1058 6. Certain activities are grandfathered or exempted from requirements of the Riverfront Act. A is any excavation structure, road, clearing, utility lines, blah, blah, blah. Maintenance of such structures is allowed, including any activity which maintains a structure, roads, limited to repairs, resurfacing, repaving, but not enlargement, without filing of a notice of intent, but not when work is within other resource areas or their buffer zones,
Mhm.
which this is in other resource areas or buffer zones. And then it says, except as provided in 310 CMR 1058 6B, which is certain minor activities as identified in 310 CMR 1002 2B1,
Mhm.
which you have
Yeah.
listed. And so that's saying refer to 1002 2B2
Right.
for the list. And then the one on the list that I think is P,
Yes.
pavement repair, resurfacing,
Mhm.
reclamation of existing roadways within the right-of-way configuration, provided that the roadway and shoulders are not widened, no staging or stockpiling of materials, all disturbed road shoulders are stabilized within 72 hours of completion of the resurfacing or reclamation, and no work on the drainage system is performed other
Mhm.
than adjustments and or repairs to respective structures within the roadway. So um, I guess it's a question of whether any uh, work is being done on drainage systems.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. I mean, we're adding catch basins, and that's just because of, again, those Mass DOT design standards for
yeah.
low points. There needs to be two drainage structures at the low points to prevent erosion, which has been observed at the site.
So then I guess following that logic, it seems that it would not be exempt because it says that it would be if no work was being done on the drainage system other than adjustments or repairs to structures within the roadway.
Mhm.
Does that sound right to everyone else? Sorry, I know it was a lot to follow, but I I was trying to work on this.
Sorry, my dog is barking right now, but if you can try to ignore that. Yeah, it sounds like this is an improvement and an expansion of the existing drainage system. Does that sound right, Billy?
Yeah, I mean, the piece that I was really harping on for this project in particular, because it's definitely in the gray area, is 310 CMR 10.585. The sentence that says redevelopment means replacement, rehabilitation, or expansion of existing structures, improvement of existing roads, or reuse of degraded or previously developed areas. So we are definitely adding drainage structures. We're expanding the drainage system. My interpretation of it is that that's an improvement to the existing roadway. It's going to improve, not only the safety of the roadway, but the life of the roadway, because there won't be so much roadway flooding and kind of overtopping on the sides of the road.
As a citizen of Greenfield, I can appreciate that. I will also caveat that statement with the fact that our job is not necessarily the same as Mass DOT. We're here to uphold the regulations. So how is that improving the protection of resource areas, I guess is my question.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's improving the protection of the resource areas, but I don't think that adding those drainage structures in the previously developed roadway is going to have any adverse effect on clean drinking water or groundwater.
So there are other interests in the act, and will this increase the inputs to the municipal system? Or basically, let me know that. So you're saying that under the existing conditions, there's erosion. So there's sediment movement into the municipal system.
Correct.
And the point of the system is to reduce soil migration and improve stability.
Yes.
So,
So the erosion is happening at when the water is flooding in the roadway, it's overtopping on the sides. The erosion's happening at the drainage outfalls, where there isn't, existing protection like a splash pad or something like that. That's already, that is picking up sediment and going directly into the Deerfield River. The hope here is that the water will be picked up in the roadway, through the drainage system and through the outfalls with the improved splash pads, and hopefully not creating as much erosion and leading to sediment going into the Deerfield River. So I wouldn't go as far as to say that it's an improvement, but I definitely do not think that it's creating more deterioration of the resource areas.
And I guess one thing I'm pretty sure 310 CMR 1058.5 is just defining which projects are allowed to be filed as an NOI under redevelopment in a riverfront area, not projects that are exempt from riverfront area, but that would be a redevelopment instead of a full, riverfront NOI.
Yeah, that's sorry. I only have the excerpts in front of me. I don't have the full passages. But yeah, no, I hear you.
And then I also found there's another, I took a screenshot of it, so I don't know where it is exactly, but in the definitions in the Wetlands Protection Act, there's a definition of redevelopment. And it specifically talks about stormwater in there. So I was just going to read that. It says redevelopment means replacement, rehabilitation, or expansion of existing structures, improvement of existing roads, or reuse of degraded or previously developed areas for the purpose of 310 CMR 1058, governing work in riverfront area, for purpose of the stormwater management standards as provided in 310 CMR 10056 K through Q. Redevelopment is defined to include the following projects: A, maintenance and improvement of existing roadways, including widening less than a single lane, adding shoulders, correcting substandard intersections, improving existing drainage systems, and repaving. B, well, that's the one that applied.
Yeah.
So I guess to me it sound so I guess just to remind everyone what we have an RDA tonight, so we're trying to determine whether this is a negative determination and they do not need to file an NOI, or if it's a positive determination and they do need to file an NOI. And so I guess to me everything is sounding like they should file an NOI, and they could file as a redevelopment project within riverfront area. that's how it's kind of all shaking out to me, is what it sounds like. So I don't know if anyone has any other opinions or.
Can you just confirm, Travis, this is a
Mhm.
riverfront area under both the bylaw, or the city ordinance and the Wetlands Protection Act, not just the city ordinance. This is state and local.
Yeah, this is what is it? Is it the Deerfield River that this
Deerfield
is next
River.
to?
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it's definitely.
What were the other resource areas? There's BLSF.
There's BSLF, uh, BLSF, and there was a buffer for the bank. It was within the 100-foot buffer of bank.
Right.
That's not a resource area, but it did mention within a
Yeah.
resource area or buffer of another resource area. And it said in your narrative that there were wetlands nearby, but it didn't say anything about being within a wetland buffer. So I
No, it's
assume it's
not. That
not.
was just a general description of the area.
Okay.
There are no wetlands in the project area.
Travis, can you say again, what was the last thing you just read? Was that about a redevelopment project or was that about
That was for a redevelopment project.
project?
Well,
Okay.
that was the definition. Hold on, I can find exactly where it is in the I spell it. Yeah, this is in oh geez, this is a very long section. This is 1004, which I think is definitions.
Hey, Billy and Yichao, while he's looking that up, can you confirm that there are no trees proposed to be cut and no conversion of impervious to or pervious to impervious surface area as part of the drainage improvements?
Ichao, do you want to answer that question? I think you're more familiar with the details of that.
I don't believe we're gonna do any tree cutting. We're gonna do some limited tree trimming just to improve the side distance of the sidewalk, the pedestrians when crossing the roadways, but pretty limited. Not covering like the proposed traffic signs, but we are not proposed to cut any trees.
And then, is there an increase in any impervious area for the sidewalks or anything like that?
Oh, okay. I do believe so, yes, because the current condition of the sidewalk is all HMA sidewalks. It's about the half length of the project within the project limit. The proposed cement concrete sidewalk is wider and the total length gonna be longer. I don't remember how much longer, but it's definitely longer than existing HMA sidewalks. That's why the impervious area is increased. That's the reason for certain areas, certain drainage pipes, we need to increase the pipe size in order to accommodate the increased runoff.
Right, for those sidewalks.
Yeah.
Do any of the commissioners have any other questions?
Is this still waiting for a MESA determination? Is this priority habitat?
There is some priority habitat. I need to check back in with that, but I will let you know about that. Normally that's something that we handle in the district office, but because there was an ongoing project in the area that the Boston Wildlife Mass DOT Wildlife Unit has been working on, they were handling that permit. But I will definitely get an answer back to you on that, Mitch.
So I don't think we can issue a permit tonight. We're still waiting
Well,
on that.
yeah, well, tonight we wouldn't be issuing a permit though. We're deciding whether they could have to file an NOI or not.
Right. Well, we couldn't do the negative for sure.
Could we
Can you do a
though?
positive?
Well, I didn't know if that applied to an RDA
I
or
found that it does.
it does. Okay. Well, I mean, if it's a positive determination, we would need that for the NOI anyway, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't see the harm in if it's a positive. Otherwise, it seems like a waste of time to wait for and then just say no.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I guess anyone have any other questions or want to make a motion or want to talk about what what they think?
I guess I'm just like thinking out loud here. I hate to have an applicant file a permit and then deny it just to have them come back and file another permit if there's something specific we're looking for in that second permit that we just didn't see in this permit. And so for the record, just globally, I will say a personal issue I have with riprap is that it does not do anything to decrease thermal loading. So shade around those splash pads would be something that I personally would like to see encouraged. I know that you have DOT has like safety concerns and line of sight concerns that are totally outside of my jurisdiction here at all. I'm just saying, you know, these really big stony splash pads are definitely, in my opinion, doing something to mitigate the existing erosion and sediment migration into down gradient jurisdictional resource areas. But globally, shade over those would be something that I would personally like to see. Those are my two comments.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if there's shade in that area anyway. I think there are trees in that area, but I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
there's definitely a lot of trees in that area where those head walls are, at least this time of year.
I mean, I guess I bet, and kind of going back to my first comment, you know, if we do issue a positive determination for this RDA and they have to come back and file an NOI, which it sounds like you have the flexibility with the timeline, but I mean, can you just remind the commission, Travis, what the differences in that are? Would we be adding additional special conditions to an NOI that we wouldn't be able to have with an RDA? Are there different standards they would have to meet? I mean, what is the benefit of having them file an NOI?
Well, I mean there are a lot more requirements for an NOI, but I mean it also comes down to uh, just whether the Wetlands Protection Act requires an NOI in this situation or not, which to me, I think it probably does. And then, I mean, since it's within riverfront area, then they have, I mean, even if they do like the redevelopment, you know, riverfront redevelopment of riverfront area, sorry. You know, there's still more you know, requirements specified in the Wetlands Protection Act for, you know, degraded areas. And I mean, I don't think, I mean, to me, it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of impact that would be happening. And if it was only resurfacing the road, I think it would be a very easy, this is exempt and, that's a negative determination. But I think especially because there are those, um, drainage structures outside the roadway, I don't really see how we could issue a negative determination if that's, an impact in riverfront area. Even though I don't think it's that big of that it doesn't seem like it's that big of an impact personally, but just because it is, you know. Does that answer your question? That was kind of a rambling answer. Sorry.
Can you just clarify? Because I thought first you said that it was going to be completely within the footprint, the current footprint. Then you said that the sidewalks were going to be larger. So is it going to go outside of the footprint or?
So in terms of increase in impervious area, there is going to be a slight increase in impervious area for those sidewalks, but that is within the state highway layout.
Oh, okay, the state line. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, with the exception of the drainage structures.
Yes, and those are within the existing state drainage easement, which on these plans, we don't have the book and page number, but eChow recently found them because we're headed towards the 100% design phase right now. So we do have the book and page number for those drainage easements.
And so I guess with the easement, I guess in my mind, so the easement is just saying that you have the right to have drainage structures there, but for like the exemptions, that requires the work to be within the existing road surface area, which that would not be. But having the easement does say that you are allowed to use that land. That's my understanding?
Yeah, I think typically like the state highway layout is thought of as the footprint.
Hmm.
Because that like includes guardrail and all that stuff too. So yeah.
But then, unfortunately for this project, there's also that language that says it would be exempt if, you know, if no work is being done to
Mhm.
the drainage. So I guess
Yeah, the
that's for
drainage is definitely the gray area here.
yeah. So for the commissioners, I guess that's where I'm hung up on. Like, it seems like it would have to be like if they were replacing existing
Yeah.
manholes and like replacing existing catchment basins or whatever, catch basins, then I think that's fine. But I think because it's an expansion and modification of the stormwater system, I think, and the fact that it's also not just within riverfront area, but also, there's the buffer to the bank. There are other resource areas and buffer zones going on too. So anyway.
So are we looking for a motion or are we waiting for
Yeah.
Heritage? Okay.
I think, well, I mean, I guess Mitch was saying that we might not be able to do a negative determination if we haven't heard back yet. But I don't see how there would be any harm in doing a positive determination because we would need that, in order to close out the NOI if there was going to be an NOI.
Mm.
So I don't think there's any point in waiting for it and then saying, oh, by the way, now you have to do an NOI, which we would need that for anyway. So I guess to me, I'm looking at the list of positive determination motions. To me, I think it would fall under box one, motion to make a positive determination that the area described on the reference plans is in an area subject to protection under the act. Removing, filling, dredging, or altering of the area requires the filing of a notice of intent. Since it's in riverfront, that would be an area subject to protection and not just the buffer zone.
And BLSF.
And BLSF. Yeah, BLSF. I always want to say BSLF, but that's the wrong.
I always
Get those-
throw a D in there and I don't know where the D comes from.
So I guess I'll go ahead and make the
Okay.
motion that I just said. Make a motion to make positive determination box 1 area described is in an area subject to protection under the act. Removing, filling, dredging, or altering of the area requires the filing of a notice of intent.
I'll second it. I'm sorry, guys. I hate to make you do extra permitting work.
I know.
I really do, but I
It's
would
okay.
like to.
This is what you guys are here for.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So a motion for positive determination that was seconded. Any other discussion among commissioners before voting on that? Just looking, I gotta switch the video so I can see Fletcher to make sure we were all not trying to talk. Okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't have any additional discussion.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't skipping anything. All right, so we'll do a roll call vote on that motion for positive determination. Fletcher,
Aye.
Erica,
Aye.
Kristen.
Aye.
All right, I'm also an aye, so that motion passes, and I guess we'll be requiring a notice of intent for this project. And I mean, it's not worded in the motion, but it does sound like it would fit within redevelopment of riverfront area. I mean, just based on what I'm reading right now, but
Yep, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, my recommendation is in the NOI, just, beef up your description on how your drainage improvements are, not just a safety issue, but protecting down gradient resource areas. Consider that in the application. DEP cares about safety, but cares about resource areas first.
Right, of course. All right, great. Thank you for that. And then in terms of the positive determination, is there a form that you guys send to us?
Yeah, I think Mitch will send. Mitch, I don't know if you can confirm.
Right. I think it's the order conditions form, but it says positive.
Okay, yeah, and you just check the positive and send that.
Okay, great. And yeah, I will send that MISA determination information to you, Mitch. And it'll be included in the NOI as well, but just so you guys have it.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank
And
you all for your time. Hope everybody
right.
has a good evening.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so moving on, next on the agenda, we have a public hearing for notice of intent solar project at 340 Leiden Road, map R29, lot 4. Mitch, is this one that we do not have a DEP file number for this yet?
Correct. And waiting for MISA as well.
Okay. But we can't, so sorry, can someone remind me? So we can open a public hearing if we don't have a DEP file number, but we can't close the public hearing yet, right?
Right. We just can't issue the permit.
Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and read, like I did the last project, and read the description on our agenda here. The project entails the construction of a 999 kilowatt AC, 2.5 megawatt DC ground mounted dual use solar array with coupled battery energy storage system and related aperturances. Wait, what? Opportunances? Sorry, I'm not familiar with that word. Plus or minus 10 acres of previously altered land that has been historically used for agricultural purposes. The project has been designed to be located largely within the footprint of the agriculture fields and existing farm roads closest to the property entrance to limit tree clearing and minimize disturbance to the extent practicable. The existing agricultural fields will be retained beneath the proposed array and will continue to be utilized for agriculture, such as crop growth or livestock grazing. Additional components of this design include access upgrades and new utility poles, site grading, stormwater management features, and construction of an inverter pad. All right, so who would like to start us off on this project and walk us through it?
Good evening, Colleen DiBenedetto. I'm a development manager with Volta Energy and for VS Layden Smart LLC. This project is proposed, as mentioned, at 340 Layden Road. The property owners are Alan and Janet Keys. I would like to mention, I believe there was an additional piece of information submitted by Beals and Thomas today, which was a letter in support from an abutter. Also tonight, we do have Beals and Thomas, project engineers, Jeff Murphy, who is the project civil engineer, as well as Caroline Booth, who is the project manager. And I will turn it over to Caroline and Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, Colleen. I figure I'll start with just a brief overview of the project. Just give me a minute here. I'm going to call up the plan.
Yep, you should be able to share that.
Yep. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So as Colleen mentioned, the project is located on an approximately 54-acre parcel at 340 Layden Road. The proposed solar project is going to be located within the limits of a existing kind of cleared area that's been maintained as a grass field and used for haying and agricultural purposes. There is an existing driveway that services access to the existing single-family home on the property. So that gravel driveway starts from Layden Road and follows the central portion of the property, going between two existing on-site wetland areas, which were previously, the boundaries of which were previously confirmed as part of an ORAD that was issued in November of 2022. And the driveway continues through the existing grass field, generally running through the center of the field, and then turns to the right and then goes to where the landowner's house is. So the project is primarily going to be located in this central field. As part of the project, just a quick overview of the layout of the project. There's going to be some reconfiguration to the existing driveway within the vicinity of the area where the panels are going to be placed in that open field. And that was primarily to consolidate the footprint of the panels, and then also serving multiple needs to maintain access for the homeowner to basically reroute the driveway along the northern property boundary, and then which will then split off and provide access to his house. And then there'll be a continued section where the road is rerouted around the panels, and there'll be a cul-de-sac turnaround area provided to maintain vehicle and truck access throughout the property, as well as for the future dual use solar project needs. And then the existing gravel driveway will be, discontinued through the central portion of the site, and a T turnaround will be provided for turnaround for fire department access. So I'll switch over to a more zoomed in view of the project. As I had noted, the existing driveway is going to undergo some improvements associated with the proposed solar facility design. There's currently utility poles and overhead wires that run along the existing driveway that provide power to the existing house on the property. In order to maintain that and also provide a future electrical interconnection between the project and the electrical grid, there's going to be some additional utility poles installed along the road, essentially creating two parallel lines of poles on either side of the driveway. And again, in the section where the driveway between Layton Road and this vicinity here, there's going to be some slight improvements done for utility company requirements. And then in the section where we go between the buffer zone between the wetlands, the driveway is going to remain as is, and then it's going to split off here just before you enter the field and continue along the outside of the fenced in area. So the proposed panel area is going to be fenced off with a 7-foot high chain link fence that will have a 6-inch wildlife gap at the bottom of the fence to allow for small wildlife passage. There's going to be a main gate here, more or less at the existing entrance to that open field, and there's going to be an area where there will be various equipment pads for the solar array, which will include a transformer, inverter, as well as a battery storage system. So that area will be graded out in a relatively flat manner and off-graded accordingly. And then again, there'll be a T turnaround so that vehicles and if need be, a fire truck could turn around in this location and go back out. In terms of proposed stormwater management for the project, so we have some small changes in ground cover type associated with the additional gravel driveways that we're putting in, as well as the equipment pad area. So we provided for the design of two infiltration basins, one of which is going to be located at the southeast corner of the existing field. And that is going to basically collect runoff from the grass area where the panels are going to be, as well as from this, T turnaround and equipment pad area. And that will be designed with a outlet control structure. And also we'll have an overflow spillway that will discharge any excess flow in the direction of the on-site wetlands and then off-site property. So that's provided there for mitigation of runoff. And similarly, we have another small basin proposed at the westerly portion of the site, which is going to collect runoff from this kind of western part of the array, and then the new gravel driveway that we'll be putting in as well. In terms of work within jurisdictional areas, primarily it's going to be limited to this southeasterly corner of the existing field. So the proposed project is basically going to be located within the current tree line of the field there. So we're doing some work where this stormwater basin is going in the 100-foot buffer zone. The limit of work is staying outside of the 25-foot no disturb zone. And we're also doing work within a previously altered section of the outer riverfront area, which is associated with an off-site perennial stream. And that area of disturbance is roughly 2% of the total RFA on site. And then we also have a portion of the site here at the western extents that is within the NHESP priority habitat. There's a small section of the project, including this piece of this turnaround, as well as the western limits of the array and fence line that go within that zone. In terms of, there are other general things to note is that we're proposing, screening plantings, which is more something that's just going to be associated to satisfy the screening requirements of the local solar bylaw, but figured that would be worth mentioning as well. And again, the idea is to try to keep the project contained within that existing grass field that's out there, and doing minimal grading, and relying on the existing drainage patterns that are out there today. And then that's kind of the general overview of the project. So I don't know if there's anything else that if Caroline or wants to add to that, anything I didn't mention before we kind of turn it over to questions.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Caroline Booth, Beals and Thomas. I think just additional items to add, as Jeff noted, part of the site is mapped within NHESP. Those are areas that are previously cleared. This was submitted as a combined notice of intent and NISA filing, so it was provided to NHESP to review and provide comments. We're still within that 30-day window. I haven't heard anything from them yet. I'm not sure if Mitch has an update on that. And we did receive some preliminary comments from Mass DEP, which we have also addressed via email, which I believe Mitch and Travis were also on. Other than that, I think that we can take any questions from the commission.
Anyone want to start off with any questions?
I have a few. I remember walking the site when you guys filed the ANRAD, and I know you've since been issued an ORAD back in November 2022, and it was for the approval of those two bordering vegetated wetland lines. I was just curious if there were, the ORAD's for those two wetland lines, but the development is much further to the west, I'm assuming. So I just, Mitch, maybe you can remind the commission if that ORAD locks in the wetland lines for the entire parcel, or does it just lock in the wetland line that we reviewed as part of that ANRAD?
Just the parts that were reviewed.
So we don't know if there's any jurisdictional resource areas associated within the 200-foot or 100-foot of the solar array other than the A line?
It looks like, on the western portion, it's way back.
Yeah, this site was evaluated by a wetland scientist for the areas within 200 feet of the project, and there were no other areas identified. As Mitch mentioned, though, the Green River is located on the far west side of the site, which is well over 200 feet away from the project. I know we can't really get too in the weeds with this until we have a DEP file number, but one of the questions that I had when I did the site walk was about that culvert that's between, I guess it's the A line and the B line. I can't remember what the culvert looked like. It was just like I don't remember if it was metal, corrugated metal or plastic or what, but if that, I guess I'm curious if that will have to be upgraded to withstand construction vehicle traffic during the solar installation.
I mean, we're not anticipating any changes would need to be done to that. I mean, it's called out as an existing 8-inch corrugated polyethylene, probably an HDPE pipe. I believe it's pretty decently far below the surface grades there. So we're not anticipating that would be impacted at all by construction traffic.
Okay. So you've already accounted for the heavy loads and stuff coming in. You think that'll handle it?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty, I think it's pretty far down. Trying to zoom in on a contour here so I can see the pipe invert at the upstream end, 298. Again, 300, 301. I mean, I don't anticipate that being an issue. It's, yeah.
I just had one other question. You had mentioned that, so the bioretention basin is really close to the wetland limit, and you had mentioned that it's also in the outer 200-foot riverfront area, but you had said that it was previously disturbed. Does that's agricultural land right now, correct? So it's just,
Yeah,
like,
this is kind of what it looks like. It's all basically like mowed, maintained area. So like the basin is going to be located generally in this spot where the topography kind of levels off. It's going to be basically a bermed area here, and it's going to, you know, be a very shallow basin and basically just provide some runoff rate attenuation prior to discharge here. So you can kind of see the existing tree line in gray here. So it's generally in that corner of the site. This dark line here is the outer portion of the 200-foot RFA. And again, the 25-foot no disturb line is generally, you know, a few feet off of where we're proposing our proposed sediment control barriers. So we're proposing a sediment control barrier at this downstream ground gradient portion of the site that's consisting of a silt fence and a straw bale, but elsewhere calling out as compost filter sock. Just generally the areas where water gets concentrated, we like to have a silt fence for better protection of the resource areas.
I guess my biggest comment in seeing this proposal overall is that I think that stormwater management system is very close to the resource area. But maybe DEP will have comments on that.
I was just wondering if you could, sorry if I missed it, but is there grading within the field other than driveway improvements in the basins? Is there any other sort of large areas of grading?
No, so the idea is that we're going to try to maintain the existing topography to the extent practicable. Like you mentioned, the areas where we're going to be having the equipment pad will have to be kind of flattened off, and then for the driveway, and then the goal is to basically remove the existing portion of the driveway that kind of runs through the middle, and then we'll just keep all the other grading as is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the topography of the site is relatively gentle, but then kind of falls away to the south side here. This is kind of looking west along the existing driveway. So the equipment pad area will be situated here off to the left. And then, you know, the other areas will just be allowed to kind of maintain consistently or drain consistently with existing conditions, drainage patterns.
Got it. And then, sorry, did you say anything about tree removal? And if so, is it marked on the plans?
So yeah, we don't have any tree removal proposed within the array area at all. It's going to be situated within the limits of what's existing. The only area where there might be some tree removal is going to be right here to get to basically split the driveway off and follow the northern property boundary. So that would be the only area where we'd anticipate tree removal to accommodate the driveway.
Got it. And what were the proposed plantings along the edges there?
Sure, let me just go up to those here. So right now we have them proposed as eastern red cedars for the screening plantings. along the northern and southern boundaries of
Got
the
it.
property.
I think we can only make any comments on them if they're within jurisdiction, but. And I don't know what the planning board requires. And it looks like the plantings go right to the, oh wait, no, they're in the buffer zone.
There's a few of them in the buffer zone here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 of them.
So if no one else has any immediate comments, it could be helpful to look at DEP's initial comments and the responses to them, which I can read here.
Yeah.
Here, let me share this. So this was just in an email exchange. These are the responses to the comments in black. Number 1, this is not a buffer zone only project, as you checked off. You also note riverfront areas. They revised the form. Number 2, solar projects are category 3, not category 2. And their response was that the applicant has agreed to pay additional fee requested for category 3. Number 3 is the narrative on page 26 and 27 mentioned alternatives, but these were not included in the NOI, which the regulations require. Please send those to me in the commission. Please fully explain setbacks imposed. If there are logistical constraints, you need to fully explain them. D, logistics. Logistics refers to the presence or absence of physical or legal constraints. Physical characteristics of a site may influence its development. Legal barriers, including circumstances where a project cannot meet other applicable requirements to obtain the necessary permits at an alternative site. And the response was, setbacks imposed include the local zoning setbacks as depicted on the site plans. Additional logistical constraints include the NHESP and biocore habitat mapped on a large portion of the west side of the property as discussed. Although biocore is not regulated under the Wetlands Protection Act, these areas are regulated under the SMART program, for which the project will need to comply with. The project is proposed as a dual-use project and is further constrained to the proposed limit of work by the existing agricultural fields. It should be further noted that the applicant has worked closely with the landowners in designing this project in such a way that utilizes previously cleared land in agricultural use to the extent practicable. And then there's this screenshot of the alternatives analysis.
Yeah, that was part of Mark's comment.
Yeah.
The screen cap.
So that, thanks. So yeah, Mark said number 4 here, the alternatives analysis for riverfront area for commercial projects include anywhere else in the community. C, except as allowed under 310 CMR 1058 4C2B, the area under consideration for practicable alternatives extends to the original parcel and the subdivided parcels, any adjacent parcels, and any other land which can reasonably be obtained within the municipality for I, activities associated with residential subdivision or housing complexes, institutional, industrial, or commercial projects. And the response was, alternative sites were investigated by the applicant prior to advancing the proposed design on this property and were not found suitable or reasonably obtainable for the development of this project. Various site considerations must be evaluated and assessing alternative locations, including but not limited to site access, ownership, ability to comply with local, state, and federal requirements, interconnection, and dual use suitability. So that brought up any other questions from any commissioners. I guess I would just add that I mean, when in the Wetlands Protection Act, when it talks about like alternatives analysis, like there's quite a hefty process, I feel, for alternatives analysis. That, and I think where it says like alternative sites were investigated, I think we need to see like what those other sites were and how much it would cost to do it and why those weren't available.
Yeah, and further, maybe why, what the differences are in, I don't know, I'm not a stormwater engineer, but like maybe if you have your Bills and Thomas, I'm sure you guys know how to run those HydroCAD calcs for, before and after recharge calcs in riverfront area and up to the 25-foot buffer zone. Can you justify that? I'm sure you can come up with something that can make an argument for why you need to go up to the 25-foot buffer zone and into the outer 200-foot riverfront area for stormwater. That kind of thing. Like what are the before and after recharge rates for increasing the solar panels? I know you're not doing drip lines and all that, and that's why you've got the stormwater detention basins, but if water's shedding kind of to the northwest into one stormwater facility and to the southeast and another stormwater facility, like I don't know. You're the stormwater engineer. You let us know.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, we did do a full stormwater report and analysis of the existing and proposed hydrology for the project site, and documented that the design as proposed is going to address the DEP stormwater management standards with respect to mitigation of peak runoff rates, as well as providing an appropriate infiltration volume based on the impervious associated with the equipment pads. So again, we did go through that process to document compliance with the standards.
But also with the 10.58 in the Wetlands Protection Act it's not really redevelopment in riverfront because it's not impervious. So it's right. You follow me?
That's correct. It's not proposed as redevelopment.
Okay.
It's proposed as a 2% impact.
Yeah, and again, the basin location is more of a function of, we tried to put the basin where it made the most sense to minimize grading, to have to, we're putting it where the water's already going, which just so happens to be in that outer 200-foot location. It becomes difficult to try to redirect water where it doesn't want to go can be more of a challenge. So that's really the rationale, like why it is where it is.
I can definitely appreciate that. I just don't love that it's at the 25-foot no disturb, personally.
Yeah, so I had the same, I guess, observation about the alternatives analysis being sort of kind of low info. And then within that, the smaller project scenario, I wasn't clear. So something about a certain nameplate capacity, but are you saying to sort of permitting outside of the Wetlands Act, to achieve that permitting, it needs to be this size, or could it be reduced to sort of help address some of these siting, for example, getting things a little further away from wetlands, et cetera?
Yeah, alternative analysis for these types of projects really are quite difficult, particularly this one, because there aren't a lot of alternatives to explore for it, because of some of the constraints explained in here. But the The smaller nameplate issue comes into play with the cost of construction for these types of projects. So the cost of construction is just to a point that if they don't meet a certain size, they're no longer viable.
From a economic perspective, you're saying?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the alternative, just to address the alternative sites, I would have to defer to Colleen of how much she would be willing to discuss that. I know that that becomes a more of a legal discussion as to what is required to be disclosed when it comes to assessing sites for project development, particularly these types of projects. I'm sure that we have some language, or if Colleen wants to speak to that directly to address that a little bit more.
Thank you, Caroline. In terms of addressing the alternatives analysis, to disclose site-specific information or conversations that we've had with other entities in the area, I would probably be, I suspect, not in compliance with our non-disclosure agreements. If there's some other way that we could present the information without identifying specific properties, I think we could, but I'm not exactly sure what you're looking for. If the commission could elaborate a bit more, I'd appreciate it.
I think, I mean, I'll let other commissioners weigh in, but I think just the assessment of the area for other sites that would accommodate this installation on this scale with fewer impacts to wetland resource areas would be my thought on that.
Right, like a different configuration, a smaller layout. I don't know.
Siting on, more degraded areas. Although I know you're shooting for dual use here. So
Yeah, I actually had a question about what is the dual use? Obviously solar and ag, but is it going to be grazing or row crop or cover? Like what's the dual use for ag?
Right now, I'm in discussions with shepherds who will be using the property to bring their sheep in and out. And it's an alternative to bringing gas-powered mowers in for vegetation management.
I've been hearing about that a little bit lately. It's very, very cool.
but I mean, it just seems like without giving away maybe property addresses and landowner names and whatnot, you could talk about other sites that were considered and why they were ruled out based on things like just general site characteristics and topography, wetlands, size, things like that.
So we could do that with the understanding that we may have had discussions with these landowners and they were not interested. So we can present you what could have been, but we can't disclose information about discussions with the landowner or whatever entity it might be. So, it could, in a way, not cover everything you're looking for, but we will do our best to put something together.
And I think that's what comes down to the vagueness of our response to DEP here, is that there is a very fine legal line when it comes to real estate on this aspect of this, which is why we listed the items that we did that are obviously taken into consideration. You know, the cost of permitting in certain locations are taken into consideration. Interconnection is a extremely evaluated item. The fact that this is dual use, which I'm not sure how familiar you are with the SMART program. There are certain requirements and items that they need to be able to meet to file under the SMART program, particularly as a dual use project. So the agriculture has to be equally in part as successful as the array. So you can't just say that you're going to construct a dual use project and then not move forward with the dual use side of it when you go through the SMART program filings, as well as the constraints from the NHESP and the biocore habitat. So you can't construct solar arrays on areas that have a certain percentage of those areas mapped on the sites, which eliminates a large portion of the state. So it's not necessarily whether the entire site is mapped. There's certain percentage requirements for that mapping, which eliminates entire sites altogether.
Mapping of what? I'm sorry.
So mapping of NHESP and the biocore habitat. So one of the comments that Mark made was that biocore is not regulated under the Wetlands Protection Act, which is correct. There are no regulations surrounding it. Yeah.
Okay.
But still, it is your responsibility to demonstrate compliance with the performance standards at 10.58. So, I mean, we'll just wait for formal response, I guess, on a more detailed response on that.
Yep.
Yeah, and just a reminder to everyone that you know, we'll have to continue this to another meeting since we don't have the NHESP and the EP file numbers yet. I was during that last discussion, I was sitting here looking at the riverfront area, and I was trying to see, like, how is this only 2% of the riverfront area? It looks like 30% or something, but then I realized there's all that riverfront area on the western edge. Different river, but
oh, but it's the same parcel, even though the limit of work is outside the 200 foot.
yeah. And Wetlands Protection Act says 2% of riverfront area on the property or something like that. So I answered my own question there before I even asked it.
I know that we're triggering. I thought I saw on the form. What was the? No, wait. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong form. What was the linear? Is there a linear feet of bank on the NOI form?
I don't think there's any bank.
Okay, I must have been. There's two Leiden Roads ones. I think I got the wrong one at first. Scratch that.
Because they're outside the 100-foot riverfront. So
yeah, and that crossing didn't actually touch any bank because it's elevated. So I must have been looking at the other Leiden Road one earlier this evening.
So I guess on that note, if we don't have any other questions for the applicant, they can, let's see, we've opened the hearing, so they can request a continuation. Or am I getting ahead, Travis?
Yeah, I mean, if no one else has any questions, I should open it to public comments, just in case anyone's here to comment on this project while the public hearing is open. And then we can do public comment again, next time. But Okay, I'm not hearing any other questions from commissioners, so I'll open it to public comments now. If anyone has any comments, feel free to unmute yourself and speak up.
Sorry, I'm unsuccessfully trying to start our camera. We've got some kind of a pop-up blocker, but we're the abutters who have the riverfront on our land. So just, share the concern about the proximity of that catchment basin to a lot of wetlands and, a very large wetland area. So you're all asking great questions and thinking about it. And I know that folks reached out from the solar project, but just it is very, very close. And then that sort of stream runs, it runs kind of through a culvert and it goes across the street to a pond, and there's all kinds of wildlife in that pond. So we just want to make sure that there's going to be really no impact on that wetland.
Thank you. Any other public comments? All right, not hearing any other public comments, so I'll close the public comments for now. Do the applicants have any other questions? I mean, since we're gonna have to come back again next time.
My only comment, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, is just, I guess for Major, a logistical comment. If he would like another hard copy, we did revise the Wetlands Protection Act form. And as we just discussed, we'll provide formal response regarding the alternative discussion we just had. And then if Mass DEP has any comments, we will respond to that as well. And if he would like a hard copy similar to the submission, or if electronic is sufficient.
I'll just take the electronic. That's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
And I guess a question for the applicant would be your approval to continue this to the next meeting, which would be October 10th.
Yes. Oh, go ahead, Colleen.
Hi, Colleen DiBenedetto. Yes, I agree. Continuation to the next meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any commissioners have anything else or want a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion to continue the NOI hearing for 340 Leiden Road until the next meeting.
I'll
Second.
Oh, I beat you. Beat you, Erica.
All right, I'll say seconded by Kristen there. And yeah, just to clarify, the next meeting is October 10th at 6:30 p.m. via Zoom. Any other discussion on that? All right, so we'll vote on the motion to continue this to the October 10th meeting. Erica?
Aye.
Kristen?
Aye.
Fletcher?
Aye.
All right, and I am also an aye. So we'll see you at the next meeting, and hopefully NAGSP gets back to you, and hopefully we'll have that all ready to go.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so next on our agenda, we've got other business and enforcement updates. First, we have right of first refusal, portion of 454 Leiden Road, parcel R2912. Mitch, do you want to go over that one?
Yeah, sure. So it's this little portion of a property that is being sold. The property's under Chapter 61, so that's why we have the first of right refusal on this. Seems like they just want more space for the septic system. So it's just this portion. It's this big, forested area with wetlands, but it's just this section here by the house. So I didn't see any use from us. So we would do a positive recommendation to sell if that's where we're at.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
This isn't the same. There was another one I thought on Leiden Road not too long ago that was like a big forested area that was chapter. Maybe that wasn't Leiden Road, but
Was
Yeah,
that
was it?
maybe Route 5 and 10? Just
oh
across the street
yeah,
from the center
that's
school?
the one I was thinking of. The shape of the parcel made me think of that other one.
Yeah, it was like by the Christmas tree farm, right?
Yeah. That's a different one.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. That clears it up. I was just getting out a map to to look at it. I assume there aren't any wetlands immediately in that part that's being sold.
No, it's just the wetlands are way back here, and then this is looks like just a road, some trees. And then the rest of the parcel is staying in Chapter 61.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or comments? So Mitch, you said it would be a positive recommendation if we agree with selling it.
Right.
Right. Make a motion to, wait, do I need to motion? No.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Make a motion to make a positive recommendation for to sell for the right of first refusal for 454 Leiden Road.
Second.
Erica got the second on that one.
I tried to it's such a blabbermouth.
We need people talking. It's good. It keeps things moving. All right. Any other discussion on that before we vote on it? All right. I'll do a roll call vote here. Kristen,
Aye.
Erica,
Aye.
Fletcher,
All right.
and I am an aye. So positive recommendation for the sale of 454 Leiden Road. So next on our agenda is outreach to fill Conservation Commission seat vacancy. Anyone had any success there? I have not. I will say the city shared an image that said 2 Conservation Commission openings. And then I went to the website like a week later and I saw it said 1 Conservation Commission vacancy. So I was like, does that mean they found someone or they just accidentally had 2 the first time, even though because we don't actually have 2 vacancies right now. So I don't know. I don't think they actually found anyone. I think it was just a typo that first time.
Yeah.
Found someone
yeah.
that may be interested.
Oh, nice.
Who
Okay.
I think was on the commission at some point, Joan Adler. But she wanted to just sit in on the next meeting and just see how things are running.
Nice.
I like
Okay.
it.
So we got to be on our best behavior at that one.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
All right. Well, that seems like a good turn of events here.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'd like to think I get some acknowledgement of response from the people I reached out to at some point, but nothing yet. So
Yeah. And I kind of forgot about it for a while, but I did reach out to the Recreation Commission, but haven't heard back yet. But yeah, I'll see the chair of that commission at the CPC meeting on Thursday, so I can I can chat about it then.
Nice.
You know, did anyone say anything to Mark Stinson? I don't know if he even knows anybody in Greenfield, but he did get into the consulting world for a year or so during COVID. Maybe he met some Greenfield people. I don't know.
I can ask him. He's probably got connections.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
maybe.
worthwhile.
Yeah. Anyone have anything else on that, or we can move on? All right. Well, we'll look forward to an interested party at our next meeting. That'll be nice. So next on the agenda is any topics not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of the posting of this agenda.
I don't have any.
I don't have anything either.
Oh, should I just bring up that knee park thing? So I went to a conference last summer for the Northeast Partners for Amphibian and Reptile Conservation, or knee park. And one of the things that they were trying to do is like increase public awareness on, how to create or not destroy, I guess, turtle habitat in urban backyards. And they had this hard copy pamphlet, and they gave everyone like 10 copies of this pamphlet. And I asked for an electronic copy so that we could share that with any interested landowners. So we have that now. Mitch put that on the Google Drive. So if anybody hears of any interested landowners that maybe want to kind of manage habitat in their backyard for turtles, there's a little information
Oh,
pamphlet
nice.
you can share.
The inside.
It's not very detailed or verbose, but hey, every square inch of urban habitat can lead to something. So
Yeah.
Nice.
Or if we ever get around to like having a table at an event or something,
yeah.
we could have this there.
Yeah, and I'm sure Neat Park would give us a bunch of hard copies. So we don't even have to print them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Wonder, maybe we could, Mitch, do you think there's a way we could have this like on our website, like have a link to it?
Yeah, I can put a link up.
Oh, that's
Okay.
cool. I love it. Yay.
Then maybe people would find it and view it
Yeah,
on their own.
I just remembered we had an applicant a year or two ago, and she was doing some vegetation maintenance in her backyard, and she was like really into, enhancing habitat for native plants and turtles. And she kept talking about that. She kept talking about the turtles, and I don't know, maybe if a different landowner came to us and expressed some kind of interest, it'd just be nice to share some little foot thingy.
Yeah.
It's all digital, so what's the harm in that?
I like that the pamphlet says one thing you can do is get involved with your local conservation commission to advocate for strong protections for local wildlife. Yeah, join your local conservation commission.
And Knee Park did say that if we wanted to, we could edit the back and add in our own links. They're okay with that. So if we
Cool.
wanted to like add some other websites or whatever that's more relevant to us, we could do that.
That's nice.
It was in the email if you scroll down.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Mitch, I don't know, could you maybe save like a PDF of the email so that we like, have that, if we look back 3 years from now,
Good idea.
we'll have like where it came from and what they said.
Right,
about
yeah.
it. Okay. Mitch, are there any enforcement updates?
No updates.
Okay, and any project monitoring correspondence, site visit scheduling?
The solar project at, I think it's 1417 Bernardson Road is expiring soon. So they're going they requested an extension. So that's on the next meeting.
Okay.
So that's it.
It's good to know. Oh, yeah, that is soon. That'd be 11 days before it expires.
Yeah, I think that's the last meeting that they could have requested it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if no one has anything else, they can make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn was seconded. All those in favor of adjourning? Okay, I'd say that's everybody. So we are adjourned at 8:22 p.m.